realised that there was a pointed conversation I had with someone. I played small for a very long time. I feared saying that out loud. I want to support millions of women. I was like, I'm just doing this because I really love it. And, it helps some people. But actually, that wasn't real. The real thing is that I wanted to help millions of women. And actually, that meant building quite a big business.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to say that.
Hi, I'm Kyla, a business coach, mentor, and I'm currently studying a degree in nutrition. I'm a mum of 2 and I live in Australia.
And I'm Emilia. I'm the author of the book It's Your Life and the founder of the fashion brand Emilia Ortmann. I'm originally from Germany but live in Dubai, and I'm a mum of 4.
In our raw and authentic episodes, we share with you all things business, motherhood, and holistic lifestyle,
as well as bringing you inspiring interviews with other entrepreneurs.
Welcome to the Mums in Biz podcast. Hey there, welcome into this week's episode of the Mums in Biz podcast. This is Kyla and I'm your host this week and bringing to you another amazing interview with an incredible entrepreneur, and I can't wait to share that with you very soon. But first of all, we'd love to give shout outs to people who are supporting us. We are so incredibly grateful for all the support that we get and all the comments that we get either through personal messages or through Instagram or directly under our episode. So thank you so much. And this week's little commendation comes from Susie, and she is building her side hustle online business and wanting to take it to the next step into a fully fledged business. And she is binge listening at the moment to our episodes. And since we've got over 70 of them, she has been quite busy. So she's been loving all of them, from how to build her personal brand, how to get a business plan in place, social media, all the way through to the mindset it takes to actually taking a side hustle into a fully fledged business. So thank you so much, Susie. We so appreciate it. Keep the recommendations coming. Thank you for sharing with your friends and family and fellow colleagues. So let's dive into this week's episode. I'm so excited to bring this to you because I have been connected with this woman for quite a few years now, since 2017, and it came from a little Facebook group I was in at the time. And at that time, I had a website called Succeeding in Heels, and I wanted to start interviewing female entrepreneurs to dive into what they were going through, the realistic struggles, but what they were succeeding at. And really, I was just curious about their journey. So I popped a little note up saying I wanted to start interviewing, and this lady put her hand up. Her name is Kim Palmer, and she's the founder and CEO of the Clemtime app, which is a hypnotherapy app which basically aims to improve the emotional well-being of all women worldwide. You know, it was born after Kim experienced a number of panic attacks while she was pregnant herself. Clementine, she made off the back of her own experiences. And at first, it was a side hustle when I was speaking to her. And we've been connected over the last few years, chatting, tapping in and out of social media, following each other, supporting each other. And I have just loved seeing her growth. And I wanted to speak to her today. I want to speak to her about what has happened over the last couple of years, what happened during 2020 when the world was turned upside down, how she hit burnout, how she started crowdfunding for her business and how that really changed the trajectory of her business and took it from a side hustle into a fully fledged business. Also, a comment that a dear friend made to her, which basically switched a trigger in her mind to say, that's it, I'm going all in. We discussed her own experience with anxiety and panic attacks and how she copes with that now. She gives the most epic tips on building businesses and what she would give as advice for those starting out. You are not going to want to miss that. And we really just chat about, how she's going, what she's looking forward to doing, her goals, her visions for Clementine over the next couple of years. She really deep dives into how she actually made the app, what it actually took, and now the team that she has around her. It is incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed interviewing Kim. I really hope that this inspires you, that she inspires you to take your side hustle or that little idea in your head and turn it into a fully fledged business. Enjoy. Okay, so thank you so much for being on the Mums in Biz podcast. I'm so excited. I can't believe, I was thinking about this and I just said on the Instagram just before, because I had to show people that I was slippers down the bottom because it's 12 degrees here, and I had to put the lipstick on at 10 o'clock at night. We've been connected for a while, and I was thinking about how we connected, and it was through a little Facebook group. Do you remember? And people were asking for podcast guests or doing interviews back in the day, 2018, I think it was.
Help a podcaster out.
That's right, help a podcaster out. And I think I hadn't started this yet. I think I was still doing the live events, but I wanted to do some interviews, and that's when I interviewed you and I wanted the practice, and it was so cool. And at that time you were just starting out Clementine. So if anyone doesn't know, I'm on the interview here with Kim Palmer, and she's the founder of the Clemtime app, and we're going to go into details about that. But you were literally at the baby stage of the app. Yeah. So, and you're also working in corporate. We were just having a bit of a chat about this before, but do you mind just giving a bit of an idea? I think I want to show the community, because some of the community who listen to the podcast, it's expanded now throughout sort of globally now that I'm in Australia and Amelia's still in Dubai, and just sort of what you were doing before, what the motivation was with Clementine as well, and how you founded that, and that sort of journey the last sort of 2 years, 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. God, it's good actually to think about it.
I know, it's crazy.
Let me just quickly tell you what it is, and then it will give you some context for why I started it. So basically, Clemtine is an app that supports women who are feeling really overwhelmed, tired, stressed, perhaps a little bit low, one of those things or all of those things, and have a lot of negative chatter in their heads, right? I'm sure we all get that. And we help women to shift all of that negative chatter, and I can't do this and I can't do that, to a feeling and a belief in themselves that they can do whatever it is that they really want to do in life. And that could be go to sleep. It could be I want to turn up to that meeting and actually speak for the first time and not just sit there. It's loads of things. And the way that we do that is through hypnotherapy. So why did I start this? The inspiration for Clementine came from my own personal story. I had a bit of an epic emotional breakdown 7 years ago, which I won't go into all the details, which looked like this. I had my first panic attack at work, which was pretty traumatic, because I basically built up this life of Kim Palmer, looking like she had it all together and was trying to be superwoman to everybody and looking after everybody and people pleasing everybody, being a perfectionist, blah, 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 blah. And it meant that I didn't look after myself and my mental well-being. And to be honest, I didn't even know what that meant, because no one talked about mental well-being back then. It wasn't a topic of conversation. And so when I had my first panic attack, it was pretty scary. And that was the start of me having panic attacks on a daily basis for about 1.5 years. And my life really unraveled at that point, because I lost my voice, and then I lost my confidence, and then I basically just didn't want to do anything. I developed social anxiety because I just thought I was going to have panic attacks all the time. And I sought therapy, help through therapy, which didn't help. And at the time, everybody was raving about headspace and meditation, mindfulness meditation. I bought the first book, I remember it actually, and I biffed that out because I was like, my brain is way too busy for this. And I mean, to be honest, look, 7 years on, I'm actually a really mindful person, but it's taken me 7 years to get there. It was not a first step. It was not the thing that I could access straight away.
Yep.
But when I went to see actually her name's Georgia Foster. She's Australian. She was the first hypnotherapist we worked with.
I think you told me about, I remember you mentioning her. Yes, I remember you saying she was Australian as well.
She's not a hypnotherapist anymore, but she was my therapist.
Yeah.
And it was a total game changer having hypnotherapy over about a year. And really, to fast forward, like I wasn't thinking about setting up a business or anything like that at the time. I was just using hypnotherapy to help me in my life, in my everyday life. Like I was using it to sleep. I was using it to go to meetings. I remember hiding in the loo at work when someone probably shouted at me, and I'd be listening to a session to like get the guts to get back out there. Yeah. You know, all that stuff.
So can you explain that as far as like the definition of hypnotherapy in comparison to like meditative states? Because I think that's an interesting concept in itself.
I'll try to keep it really non-technical. I think the main difference is that meditation is a lean-in experience, which means that, you are doing the work to quieten your brain and to hang on to your thoughts, to train yourself to let go of things. You're very conscious. Okay. You lean in being conscious. Now, for me, that was scary.
Right. Okay.
First of all, I couldn't lean in because I was like, I need to lean out of everything.
Yeah.
I can't do anything else. I've got too much going on. It's just another thing to add to my to-do list.
Yeah.
Whereas with hypnotherapy, so you've got lean in, conscious. It's lean out. It's hey, we'll help you relax so that you can access your unconscious mind, which is where you're actually very malleable, where your brain is more open to suggestions when you're a bit more at that sort of, unconscious state. And I don't mean asleep, I mean that your brain is going down a gear.
Yeah.
And that you're not required to do that work. You can drift in and drift out, which is like a load of weight off your mind because you're already thinking, oh, I can just sort of go like this and go in and out and not feel pressure. And actually that loosening of pressure makes you more susceptible to being guided through a session of helping you unpick a lot of beliefs about yourself. It helps you break habits, in effect.
Yeah.
But in a way that works, that you are not having to do a lot of work, which actually means that it's very easy, which is a bit off-putting for some people because they're like, oh, does this actually work? Because it feels too easy. In a world.
Yeah, but I love that. Yeah. I was just thinking, because I love that because when you say, because meditation, right, over the last sort of 5 to 7 years has become like the go-to, everywhere. I mean, like if you just as you know, if you open Instagram or if I walk down the street here in Australia, everyone is like practicing some form of meditation. And all I hear from people when I speak with people as well, like, in an office that I work in, or if I'm coaching, or if I'm out and about, that meditation scares them because they feel like they have to get into this like levitative state to be able to like benefit from it. But with the hypno, from what I can hear and you explaining it so simply, it's a bit of that release of the control of like something else is taking over to help you and to guide you. So you're not, controlling the situation. It's more about letting go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is that because we help you try to get into a hypnotic state or trance or hypnosis, whatever you want to call it. But actually I call it autopilot. And the thing that scares a lot of people with hypnotherapy is, because they've got an image of back in the day of hypnotists on stage and making people go around clucking and doing all sorts of like really random stuff. But that state of being in hypnosis trance, autopilot as I call it, is actually very natural. We go in and out of this every day, all the time. So if the best example I think is,
I was about to say,
is when you're driving,
actually,
and you go on the same route every day, scarily, you're not thinking.
No.
You go into autopilot, don't you? And you're just like doing, and that is, you're sort of your brain goes down a level. That is exactly what it is. Or when you're brushing your teeth and you're not thinking, you're just doing, you're like, no. That's autopilot. That's what it is. And we can help you get there really quickly so that we can start working the therapy.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So you've experienced this first with your hypnotherapist, with Georgia. And then how did it sort of evolve from there?
Yeah, so basically, like I just, when I was working, so I found working in an office, just working in general, really stressful. Because I had all of these people-pleasing, perfectionist traits, and also because I was super ambitious.
Yes.
And so I didn't know how to let go of lots of things. I would get wobbled all the time and anxious and stuff. And so I was finding that the hypnotherapy was working in my work day, and even at home. Like kids would wake up in the middle of the night. I'd try to get back to sleep, but the to-do list would be going, and I'd like use it to help me get to sleep. And because I was awakened, to my own mental health at that time, I was awakened to everybody else's.
Yeah, wow.
And they didn't know it. So I could see in my office, everyone coming in walking like zombies. They didn't sleep very well. And then I could see all the nerves, people like walking around a bit like this, even though they would never admit it. And then I started to talk openly at work, which now I look back, I think, God, actually, that was pretty bloody brave, to talk about not feeling okay all the time.
Yeah.
Having anxiety and not feeling confident all the time. But it was okay. It didn't define me, like big deal. That was when all the women, like literally every single woman at work, because I ran this big initiative, would go, oh my God, I feel like that too. And that's when the light bulb moment went off, and I went, do you know what? This is really sad. I'm using something that I think could help a lot of women. And I just went off on this. It was like it was pulling me. It was an energy.
Yeah.
I had a job, like a full-on job. But every night I went home and I just made it my mission to start something. And in my mind, it wasn't a business. It was a side hustle. It was something that I wanted to do because I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
So I spent like 7 months creating it off the side of my desk, evenings, weekends. And then my husband and I bootstrapped, like put all of our money into it. Everything was way more expensive than I thought it was going to be. But I didn't care because I was like, it felt like money well spent, because actually also I was going on my own personal journey at that time to getting well, and even just having a purpose, because I felt like I'd found a purpose.
Yeah.
It's helping me get well as well, even more well than I was. So yeah, that was 2017. I finally put it live on the App Store. Didn't have any money to market it at that point because I'd spent all the money building it.
Yeah.
And I still had the job, and I ran it as a side hustle for 2 years, and it gained traction. So got a lot of really amazing press coverage very early on. We were on the front cover of the Guardian newspaper as one of the 7 apps every woman should own, which was a pretty helpful.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Stamp of approval. And then it's and then you get that one thing, and then you get another, like then we got app of the day, and then we got app of the day again, and then we were app in America, and then one thing leads to another. But it was still a side hustle, and it was in 2019 that I hit burnout big time.
Wow.
Because I was trying to be doing that, which was sort of like a full-time job, and then my full-time job, and then having a family with 2 small boys. In fact, I had Kingsley during that time, and I've realised that I felt like I was failing at everything. And I was like, oh God, and I just felt awful. And I was like, I knew I'd hit a wall. And I remember the weekend, and I said to my husband, something's got to go. They can't carry on like this. And he was like, it's the time. Now is the time. You've got to go all in.
Yeah.
Look, it's a simple decision. We've spent all our money on it anyway. So either you quit this, which doesn't seem like a good thing to do because we've spent all our money on it.
Yeah.
Or you do the thing that you love and feels like it has really got legs. So, and I've always been the main breadwinner in our family. And so that wasn't an easy decision to make, to quit my job, because financially we had to live, pay more and all that stuff. So that took some real thinking about how we would do that, make that happen. So it meant a real simplifying of our life, like really like down to, not a lot of stuff, having a lot of things. But actually it was liberating in so many ways. And so, it was September, I think it was August, September, I quit my job. And then I just knew I had to fundraise.
In 2019?
Yeah, I knew, look, we know the category. Everyone knows Calm. Everyone knows Headspace. They're massive companies.
Yeah, backed by millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions. Not even just millions, hundreds of millions.
Yes. And
so I was like, little old me here needs some money. And so I went on a fundraising effort. And that's a whole podcast in itself, because that was very stressful and difficult. But actually we were very successful. And even though I found it difficult, it was actually easy in some ways to raise the money, because we had such a strong mission and had traction. And actually then the world got tipped upside down.
Yeah.
Mental health became a conversation like it had never become before.
Yeah.
And so we raised £1 million last year.
Wow. That is incredible. In 2020?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, what we need to do to scale, because the mission has always been to help millions of women.
Yeah. Did you have a figure? Did you have an exact figure of how many women you wanted to?
In my mind, it was just always millions.
Millions. Yeah.
At the start, it wasn't actually. I remember someone asked me this recently, and I realised that there was a pointed conversation I had with someone. I played small for a very long time. I feared saying that out loud. I want to support millions of women. I was like, I'm just doing this because I really love it, and it helps some people. But actually, that wasn't real. The real thing is that I wanted to help millions of women, and actually that meant building quite a big business.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to say that, but now I'm not afraid to say that.
No. And it's a very expensive hobby if you're not making and helping women and making some sort of, profit, and then giving that back into the community and keeping that cycle sort of going. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's not.
When did that click for you, as far as when it clicked? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it exactly. Actually, it was a conversation I had with my husband's one of his best friends, who's an Olympic rower. So he's got a winning mentality. Everything he does is about winning. And he said to me, "What are you doing here, Kim? Is this a lifestyle business, or are you really going all guns here?" And I was quite taken aback by that.
That is confronting. That is confronting.
It was very confronting, but actually I'm so glad that he did that, because I needed to ask myself the question.
Yes.
And my first reaction was, oh no, it's just a lifestyle business, because I would have been happy with that, but actually that was a lie. I was lying to myself because I was scared of thinking big and dreaming big. And actually I remember I went away from that conversation and I called him the following week and said, I'm really pleased you asked me that, because actually the truth of the matter is I want to impact millions of women, and that means creating a big business.
Oof.
And when was that? That was early 2020. Yeah.
So that was even after your husband said, let's go all in.
Even after
job. Yeah, quit your job. We will be fine. We will make this work. And then it was a couple of months later that you needed that other confrontation.
I needed it. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? So because even though I was doing those things, I wasn't actually believing those things.
Yeah. Interesting.
Two very different things.
Yeah. Okay. And sorry, continue.
No. Yeah, I was just going to say, and so we raised that money last year, and then we have spent our time building a team. So that was interesting in the pandemic when you can't actually meet anybody.
Yeah.
And in fact, I only met our whole team this week.
Oh, in person?
In person.
Oh, wow. Are they there in the UK?
Yeah, all of them are based in the UK.
Okay. Wow, that's incredible.
That was amazing to sort of meet everybody properly. I had met our CEO because she, funnily enough, lives down the road, which is a bit weird. And yeah, we've just sort of been hunkered down and almost had to rebuild everything again, because what I had was a hack together product with the little money that I had, and actually it wasn't really scalable. And so we sort of had to make a brave decision, actually. That was another brave decision, to go, we have to step back to go forward. You know, and even though like our investors were like, go, especially because of the pandemic and everybody's suffering, we were like, well, we're still here to support everybody, but we have to step back and rebuild to make it go even further. So it's sort of, you have to slow down sometimes to speed up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to do that because you're frustrated, because you're like, you just have to go, but that's not right. It's not.
Yeah. So you found investors, am I right, to then invest into Clemtime app. Was this part of the fundraiser from last year? That's how you got these investors? Okay, all right.
We've got one investor who invested all the money.
Yep.
And now we're looking towards, that's called a seed round. I've had to learn all about this. And now we're looking towards Series A, to raise a much bigger sum of money to take us further now that we've built the foundations.
Okay.
So that we can not just do that, but like really grow and help more and more women in the way that we need to.
And foundations, meaning as in the foundations of like the app or what it can do, or that or the business model, like
all
everything.
Of that.
Okay.
Everything. How we support women in the app, what our business model is, the team, you know, even de-risking the business in terms of GDPR, all of that stuff, which is just
you don't even think about that. Yep.
Because I never had money to do any of that stuff when I was just playing around with it. You know, terms and conditions, making sure we're fit for purpose in every single market because we're a health intervention.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff is like turning it from a passion project into an actual proper business.
Interesting. So interesting. And when you got this investor, I won't obviously ask too many details, but I want to know, did you go, I mean, were you sort of like proposing to all of these investors, like putting forward your business plan? Did you have help putting all that business? I mean, you would have had a business plan at the beginning when you were doing, you know, it is obviously your side hustle, but did you invest into like, you know, support with building all that as well? Okay.
Yeah, I did actually, because I knew that I could, I mean, you know, the stats were there. Only 1% of women worldwide receive funding through VCs.
Yeah.
Of all the investment funds and money that goes through VCs, women get 1%.
Yeah.
So I knew that, and I was like, right, I'm not going to chance this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get someone to help me. And I met a guy, Melon, who has become like a knight in shining armor to our business. And his only job was to help me secure the money. And so he helped me through writing a pitch deck, which we spent 6 weeks doing, you know, to get it right. Then to mapping out all of the investors in the UK and why they're different and who they're investing in, who we know, who might know them, so that we're getting warm introductions, you know, creating a 3-pager, a 1-pager, you know, we then setting up meetings. He came to every single meeting with me. Because I really struggled with my confidence through that whole period. I mean, I was having panic attacks like I had.
I was going to ask, yes.
I found the whole thing very destabling and triggering, and it was like I just felt like I was putting my whole life on the line, you know.
Yeah.
And he was just so incredibly supportive, and he found the investor who invested in us.
Wow.
And introduced me to them and came to the first meeting. And actually, it was interesting with this investor, they never made me pitch. That's not normally how it works. And because he knew my background and, you know, my story, and he was like, you don't need to do that. Let's just chat. let's just chat about you, your vision, where we're going. And he made the offer in that meeting.
Wow. Okay. And how did he find out about you? How did he know your background?
Through Melon.
Through Melon. Okay.
This guy is like a connector.
Wow.
The thing about investment and fundraising is it's like opening up a door to a world. Unless you're in it, you know nothing about it. And you don't know the people in it, and you don't know the language they're speaking. And it's like, so he gave me the key to the doors, is how I think about it, and introduced me to everybody and just made it happen.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
The money we have spent.
Yeah, on him.
Yeah, on him. And he didn't get paid until we got the money. So for me, I was like, well, this is a no-brainer. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, if he gets you the money, then he gets his own money. And so where did you find him? Did someone recommend?
Was a bit of a chance. That was a total chance.
Wow, talk about fate and talk about the universe coming around.
I know. It happened. I met him actually when I just experienced that burnout.
Okay.
And on that weekend where I broke down and said, something's got to give, and I made the decision to leave my job. On that Monday, I went and spoke at a really big mental health breakfast, and I was one of the keynote speakers. And I didn't want to go because I was just all over the place because I was feeling so awful and drained and like, and I just thought, come on, Kim, you can do this, you know, listening to the app,
listening to your own app,
yeah, pretty much. Like, I'm probably the only person using the app. It's just me.
Yeah, exactly. Is you buying your subscription over and over again? Yeah.
Anyway, we did this talk. And then he approached me afterwards and he said, I really love what you're doing. And if you ever wanted to fundraise, we should have a chat. And I just was like, I went and met him that week. We had a couple of like sort of chemistry conversations, and I just really, really liked this guy. I really trusted him. And that was it, really. We just went from there. And he's still part of the business. He invested money in the business.
Oh, he even is one of your investors as well. Wow.
Yeah, he's a small investor, and he's on call to us all the time because he's a connector. One of those people, who just knows someone who knows someone.
Wow, that's incredible. Incredible. And then so during 2020, scaling it, you're building the team.
Yeah.
Obviously it was a focus because I'm saying, from what I can hear, you obviously got the investor at the beginning of 2020-ish, at the beginning of 2020. And then moving forward, they obviously wanted it to build as quickly as possible, I'm assuming, and reaching as many people as possible and getting it out there as quickly as possible. Like, what did that really sort of like honestly look like? So what people have you hired into the business at the moment?
To be honest, it's been really difficult. Hiring is the thing. I hear lots of, business leaders saying this all the time. It's talent is one of the hardest things. And you should be always recruiting, which is true. Now I realize. So we hired not in this order, by the way, but we hired a CEO, which actually was at the investors. That was their decision.
Okay.
That's how they run all of their investee companies, where they bring in someone. But it was my decision to, choose who this person was. And that has been incredible, to be honest. A lot of people say to me, oh, how do you feel about having a CEO running your business? Like, is that a bit weird? And do you get on? And what do you do? And I'm like, it's literally the best thing we ever did.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a CEO and I've never been a CEO. And frankly, I'm too obsessed about this business to run it in a professional way.
Yeah. You're too close. You're too close.
I'm too close to it. Yeah. It's unhealthy for the rest of the team to have in our business to have me like, all the time. So it's been great. And then we've spent most of our money on people and product. So we have this amazing product director and 2 developers, because everything we do is about our product.
Yeah.
Upweighting our therapy support that we have. So we've got 3 therapists now versus what we had before, because we knew we needed to create more therapy to support women. And then with marketing, that's been quite tricky actually, to find the right talent in a startup environment as well, because that working in a startup is actually really hard if you're not used to change that happens every hour and the sheer workload. And so we've decided at the moment that actually I'm sort of back in it again. Because our focus is on partnerships versus spending lots of money on marketing. And we will do that at the next round.
Okay, explain that then. So as far as when you sort of partnering with other companies, or how does that sort of,
There's kind of 2 strands to that. One, which is partnering with other like-minded brands, obviously, but who are much bigger than us. So have, they can help us grow. But where there's a value exchange that works for their community and works for our community. So, for example, ClassPass, which is a massive. Do you know?
I literally just bought a pottery ceramics class on ClassPass here the other week. That's incredible. Okay.
So we're going to start a timetable, which is having like the world's first walking therapy club, where you can walk and have your therapy at the same time, that sort of stuff. So partnering, creative partnering. We just did a partnership with Bumble here in the UK. Just more of stuff like that.
That's cute.
Yeah, there's a lot. The thing is this, we're lucky. I'm not lucky, but we can fit into so many different propositions, we help women in so many different parts of their life. So it's actually easy in a way to start those conversations. Then we're also, because women in the workplace is probably a bit of our heartland too. So we're now going on to all the employee benefits platforms so that employees can choose us when they see all the other solutions out there as a way of getting in. And then we do a small amount of paid media, but that will update once we do our next round, and we'll look at other sources of media like TV, so that we can raise awareness and consideration for us as a brand. But we're still experimenting. We're very much in an experimental phase still.
Super fun.
Super. I mean, you're right. It is super fun actually. Have fun at the same time.
It's sort of, because it's like this minefield of like, where you're spending your money. Are you spending it on social media, or are you spending it on paid adverts in magazines, in newspapers, or online print? Are you the caption behind, on the reel of a website of like, Women's Health magazine or whatever it is? It's like, it would be hard to like figure out where it is. And you'd have to like, jump into each area to see what works.
It is. It's like almost like throwing a lot of things out there and then see in a small way, see what sticks, and then kind of like narrow it down, right, do more of that, okay, learn more of that, and then you sort of get down, I suppose, to much more efficient marketing funnel.
And how are you finding the social media aspects at the moment, especially during 2020? Did you find that was an outlet that sort of benefited in a way of connecting with your customers? Because obviously, but you're primarily online anyway.
So interestingly, our social media is not, if you look at our social media, it's actually very small compared to like how many women, we have in the community. It's not something that we always have to constantly say to ourselves, where are we putting our effort? And everything really, our effort should be on the product and building these partnerships. And social media is just, it's a great channel, but it's not the be all and end all for us. It's not where our support is, our support is in-app. And I think I see this with a lot of businesses where they think because you have to be present everywhere, and they spend too much time on some of these other channels when actually, and it distracts them from what the core is. And yes, like we're there every day and we do the best that we can. And maybe one day when we have loads of money, we will be able to do more, but it's like, it's not the most important thing to do.
Yeah, incredible. It's so amazing that you say that, especially, at the moment and last year, and where people were thinking about putting their focus and like sort of jamming it down with TikTok and Instagram and all that as well. And I'm about to speak to a social media person in the next week or so. But do you think that everything that's happened, like, within 2020 has taken us back to the basics of just pure connection with people?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. Like 150%. I think on a human level, I mean, we were talking about this before we joined, but the first thing, it's like a recalibration has happened to the whole entire world. Everybody's gone, okay, why am I here? What am I doing? Are the things around me the things that I want? Are the people around me the things that people I want to be talking to? Am I living my day-to-day life in a way that makes me feel good? All that, it's just like, and when is it in your life that you get a chance to think like that? Only if something big happens, like someone in your family dies or something very tragic. Yeah. So I definitely feel like it's given everybody a bit of a moment to reflect, and connection is everything.
Yeah. It's the foundation.
Sorry?
It's the foundation.
It is, at the end of the day. If you're not, if you're not connecting with people, then what are you doing? Yeah. It's not to say that you have to connect with everybody. It's not that. But it's the creating meaningful connections. That are genuine is everything. Yeah,
and that sense of belonging. As far as belonging, to something. And I think that's what's thrown people completely through a spin, in the last sort of 12 to 18 months of, a lot of people, their lives were turned upside down. They didn't know where they were going to belong anymore, especially if, there were people laid off of work and, all that. And no one knew, it literally has, wrecked people from the inside out, and people were having, a bit like we were talking about, having to rebuild.
It is genuine. I mean, we see this because we see the customer support queries coming through of women saying, I love this, but my husband was made redundant, or I lost my job and now we actually don't even have anywhere to live, and even though I need this right now, I can't afford it. And we just give it to them for free because we're like, you need this right now, you have it. But it's really sad. Awful.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Okay, so now moving on to 2021 and beyond, we're seeing a little bit of light coming out of the tunnel. But what's your sort of vision now for the next 12 months? We'll keep it at 12 months or so with the app, with Clementine, and where you want to take it.
So, I mean, like from a really practical level, we have to get this next series of fundraising kind of done if we have any hope of even achieving the bigger vision of supporting millions of women. And that vision doesn't change in 12 months, 6 months, whatever. What we do on a day-to-day basis, so we'll focus on the fundraising. This partnerships piece is huge. So we're actually doing some very creative things. One of them, which I can't say the name of who it is because it's really confidential, but it takes Clementine outside of the app, where we work with brands to create products together that are multi-sensory and help women sort of elevate those everyday routines that we do, that we just rush through, don't care about, into little moments where you stop and enjoy and bring something together, physical and digital, to create a ritual. So that's, for me, that's super exciting. It's like, wow, we could actually be really helping women every day in a physical sense and with minds. And it's nice to see things in real life, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And touch, and the tangible as well as the audio as well. Yeah, absolutely. All those sensories, the smell or the seeing, or it's so important. Connecting
because we're
all
so
those.
tactile, aren't we? And I think that's become even clearer in the pandemic because we've had less things. So the things that you have, you want them to look and feel and smell like really lovely. So I'm excited. That's the thing that gives me goosebumps. It's like, because it's so new, like it could create new categories.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Very exciting. So that's sort of a big goal over the next 12 months, I would say, to get all of that happening for Clementine as well.
If we can get one of those live into the world, then that we'll be very happy.
Yeah, awesome. Do you have a personal goal for yourself for the next sort of 12 months?
Yeah, I'd like to slow down a bit. Yeah.
In what way? As far as like the business goes, or just life in general? I mean, because you said that you obviously had to simplify a lot of things to get Clementine off the ground. I'm assuming that's a bit like me. Like when I came back to Australia, I don't have a TV. I haven't had a TV since I've come back. So it's like, going on nearly 2 years. Everything is as minimal as I can pretty much get it in the house. Obviously, we've both got 2 children, so we both know what clutter looks like. But is that what sort of happened with you? Or
it's more with work, because our life is simple. And actually, we had the pandemic moment when I had my breakdown, and then when also we had to shift our finances. So we've been through all of that actually before the pandemic
in 2019.
Yeah, exactly. So we were well placed to go, well, actually we don't really do anything anyway. I mean, really, life's pretty simple for us, so not massive change. I'm sort of joking because we did go out, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I more mean that I would like to take a step change in the way that I work in the business.
Okay.
And that would be, once we get some more people in, I can work more on the business versus in the business.
Okay.
So that I'm constantly thinking about what is that next thing, what is the musical wellness proposition that we're going to create or whatever, because I feel like I'm still down in the weeds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the trenches as such.
Yeah. And you can only do that if you have less work to do, because you need to think and slow down and ponder. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be more time to percolate stuff, and it's quite hard to do that right now.
Yeah, and to sit in some sort of reflection of what has happened, what you're in at the moment, and where you want to go. Those sort of 3 stages. Yeah, incredible.
Perspective, really.
Yeah, and you can only do that by stepping out, because you're in it again. You're physically in it. Okay, interesting. And as we wrap up, I want to ask you a couple more questions. I want to ask you about any advice that you would give, especially just women, and even sort of balancing between motherhood and having a side hustle. Any sort of tips or anything that you can give as somebody? I mean, you came from a side of, you're passionate about something that you saw that had a dramatic impact in your life, and maybe there's somebody out there listening to this right now who feels exactly the same thing about their side hustle. Would you give any advice of how to sort of direct that at the beginning?
Yeah. So I see this quite a lot actually, where, because I'm involved in a lot of women in business communities, like where we're all sort of still quite small, and I feel that there's not enough reflection and research and sweating of what the problem is you're trying to solve, and people creating solutions that haven't had enough due diligence done around them, because you get excited, right? You're like really excited, you're like, this works, but even though it worked for me, I did all the due diligence around it. I did all the market research, I went and spoke to hundreds of women. That's my strategist in me, making sure that I knew that this problem that I was solving was big enough to support creating a business around.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because usually we get shiny object syndrome of like all the bells and whistles of, this would be amazing, I can work for myself, and I only have to work 2 hours a day, and everything's going to happen, and I think I've solved this, or I think I've got this that will be great for certain women. It could whatever concept it might be, we might not pick on one, and then they're disappointed at the end of the day. Yeah,
I see that so much, the disappointment, and it makes me really sad, because I think, if you just spent a couple of extra months doing more due diligence around the problem, around the solution, it helps you refine what you're doing, or perhaps take you in a different direction. So that's the other thing, I think. Always keep an open mind, like always. Even now I'm like, right, always thinking, but what if we did this, and what if we did that, and what if it looked like this? I use those words all the time to keep my mind completely opened, because it's so easy in your business to become very fixated on what you've got is right. And actually the better way to come at it is to almost probably think what you've got is wrong. And just to kind of like constantly be checking in with yourself.
And
does that make sense?
Yeah, because you'd become, obsessed that, you want this a certain way, to look a certain way, but then it probably wouldn't work. And if you just sort of tweak it a little bit to focus. And I think exactly what you were saying, we focus on that it worked for us. So in the same way that it's going to work for us, it's going to work for the millions of women that I'm going to help. Does that make sense? Instead of thinking of the millions of women and then what I have experienced and adapt it to that in a generalistic way, because obviously you want to reach the masses, but interesting.
And the only other thing I would say is, and I learned this at my job actually, which I think put me in good stead, which was to not be afraid to share stuff. And because the more you share everything that you do, like have a conversation with someone and go, I'm thinking about this, what do you think? It doesn't mean you have to take on board what they're saying. That's also a good thing to work out your filter. But the more you share, every single time you do that, you're picking up bits of micro feedback, and it just helps keeping you evolve. I was talking to a lady recently who didn't even want to share her idea with me, because she was worried that I would steal it. And I was like, well, I can't really help you. And she was just going to go on this route of creating this thing without really sharing it. And I was like, I mean, if you want to do that, great. But like getting micro bits of feedback and filtering what might work, what might work, I think is so awesome.
So crucial. That's incredible. And I bet you, like, why is it women that do this to themselves as well? Just like hold on to it. Like we don't want the people to steal it, that scarcity mindset that somebody's going to steal our stuff.
Also, we're perfectionists. A lot of women are perfectionists, so they worry about sharing because it's not quite right. It's not quite, and it's like, doesn't matter. Don't worry about it, because you get people to help build it for you who help. Like every time you share it, it's like they make it better. Oh, okay. No, that's incredible.
Okay, as a couple of personal question, anyone inspiring you at the moment? Have you read any cool books or anything now being with, the last year or so?
Do you know what? The book that I read last year that changed my life was this book.
Okay, show me. We're on video as well as podcasting. I love videos. Let's have a look.
It's called, it won't be what you're expecting. It's called Tender.
Okay. Penny Windsor.
Yeah.
The Imperfect Art of Caring. I have not heard about this book. Okay, I will find it and link it in the show notes.
It changed my life. It basically it's a story and multiple stories. It's her story. Actually, she's Australian.
Is that why I know the name?
Yeah,
Penny Windsor name just came up. I'm writing this down. Yep.
And she had basically, without giving too much away, very tragically, her mum committed suicide when she was younger. She was a young woman, and she cared for her. So this is what it's about, caring. She cared for her for a very, very long time at a very young age until she passed away. And, obviously that has an impact on oneself, going through that experience. And then her first son has the most extreme form of autism. So he's nonverbal. So she's now been transported into a world of caring again for someone for the rest of her life, right? And actually it was an eye-opener, because I didn't know anything about this world. And then she talks to all the other so many people who are in caring situations. And she wrote this book at the end of it when the pandemic hit. And it was like, can you imagine how it was for people in caring situations who have created a world where they just are coping every day because they've got all this help and and then it's all gone. And it uses the word tender because it's all about trying to be kind to yourself. And how she has learned to support her family, but support herself through actually a very is very challenging. And to see these things as gifts, and I just felt like it was a gift. When I read it, I was like, this is the most amazing book I've read in a long time.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'll have to grab it and I'll pop it in the show notes for others to get it. Oh, such a good interview. Thank you. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions. I want to know a couple of quick questions. Apart from the Clemtime app, which obviously everyone needs to download, and we'll put that in the show notes as well, any other apps at the moment that's your favorite on the phone? Keeping organized or anything?
I don't use my phone for anything other than...
There we go. Well, that's what people should be doing.
Business stuff, but like
MailChimp. Yeah, okay. Everything's all that on your phone. Any other business apps that you have on your phone that you've been using, or mainly just MailChimp?
Later.com. I love Later.com.
We use that as well to obviously schedule the posts.
Yeah, I love it. It's so easy. Genius Scan, I find that really helpful. Bitly, love that.
Yep.
Canva, awesome.
Yeah,
social media
awesome.
Stuff.
Awesome.
Probably nothing new here.
No, that's right. And what about, since you've been in lockdown, have you been able to get takeaway? Favorite takeaway in the last 12 months?
Oh, yeah. But no, we've had a lot of takeaway. Our favorite takeaway has been this place called Hattusa. It's very local.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Mediterranean food, and I mean, we like meat in our house, so it's just very meat heavy.
Nice. So interesting.
And the kids love it, and yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a lifesaver having takeaway.
Oh yeah. I couldn't imagine like if that just stopped. I mean, it did for a while, and then that was the first thing that reopened. So no, that is incredible. All right, well, I'll leave you to it. It's late here. I know you have to go back to work.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that it's so late for you. I feel bad for you.
No, that's completely fine. But thank you, and I'll put everything in the show notes. But I'm so grateful. It's such an insight of what's happened in the last couple of years in your business and things that are going to happen obviously in the future as well. And yeah, just having a bit of a chat about the last 4 months. Yeah, for sure.
I actually found that very therapeutic. So
there we go. All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'll see you later.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Mums in Biz podcast.
If you loved it, please share it with your network and leave us a review.
If you would like to connect with us, please visit the Mums in Biz podcast Instagram page or check the description for our direct contact.
Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.